How does one of Boston's most important buildings actually work? In this video, we will go over what it takes to make the first and finest concrete at Boston Sand and Gravel. From unloading the sand train, to organizing the aggregates, to sending the concrete mixers to the job site. Let's get started. Before I begin, please keep in mind that Boston Sand and Gravel doesn't provide much info on how their industry works. Much of this video is based on observation and inference. The morning starts early. A front loader latches on to some of the loaded sand cars, using a hydraulic coupler on its front end. The loader then acts as a locomotive would. The operator notches up the vehicle and pulls the cars into the unloading area. That device looming above the train cars is known as a shaker. I hear Boston Sand and Gravel doesn't use it anymore, but when it's in operation, it grabs onto the rail cars and shakes all of the sand out of the basin. Each of these cars is around 145 tons. The front loader can only handle so many loaded cars at a time. The use of a front loader allows for Boston Sand and Gravel to save money by not having to invest in a singular railroad engine for this relatively small operation. Also, given the layout of these tracks, it is advantageous to have a vehicle that is not bound to a right-of-way, that can circle around a consist by simply driving on a gravel road. The front loader continues these operations until all cars have been unloaded. This operation can sometimes take multiple days, depending on how many cars need to be dealt with. It appears that sand is sent out of the bottom of the train car and into the ground. From here, it is put onto this conveyor belt contraption, which carries the sand into a storage bin. At the same time, a front loader driver is responsible for taking bucket loads of sand from this bin and moving it to a smaller bin that is controlled by the dispatcher. When the dispatcher needs an aggregate to go onto the conveyor belt heading up to the building, they choose the bin with said aggregate, and it is sucked downwards onto the conveyance system. Meanwhile, this driver must make sure each dispatched controlled bin is constantly being refilled with more aggregates. Meanwhile, in the main structure, the recently extracted sand may be sent to an area where it is mixed with the ingredients to make concrete. Leftover sand, on the other hand, is evidently sent back out of the building on these conveyor belts, where it is again placed in the sand storage bin. Keep in mind, Boston Sand and Gravel doesn't just make concrete. They distribute the raw aggregate materials too, like sand and gravel. Aggregates from these areas are loaded into trucks that carry the raw materials to other job sites around the city. I also noticed that these bins appear to hold a surplus of aggregates, likely for long-term storage. It would make sense for Boston Sand and Gravel to have more than they need. This allows for the site to continue the production of concrete even during times when the sand and gravel may not be able to make it into the city for days at a time. Excess sand can be seen all around this area, often surrounding the concrete pillars of the Leverett connector, which the company provided concrete for many years ago. Located 3/4 of a mile northwest of the main site is a smaller Boston Sand and Gravel building. Here, concrete mixers are maintained and stored. When morning comes, the concrete mixers are quickly dispatched out of this yard and sent down an access road to the industry. The road weaves the mixers through the pillars of the Zachem Bridge, and behind the main building, they loop around and pull into the cement loading area. Back inside the building, cement is being made by mixing sand from Ossipee, gravel from Hooksett, cement from Cement Quebec, and water. Down below, the concrete mixers are eagerly awaiting being loaded by the dispatcher. The dispatcher is responsible for loading mixers with the exact order of concrete requested by customers. When instructed, the mixers pull forward in the loading area and are filled with materials by way of this black tube. After all of this hard work, the concrete is finally ready to make it to its final destination. Today, this mixer is being sent to a project by Assembly Square in Somerville. On the way to the construction site, the mixer must keep its water tank spinning. The trucks also are able to add more water into the tank. This ensures the concrete won't begin hardening en route to the destination. Drivers also only have about 90 minutes from loading to unloading before hardening may occur. Proximity to the job site is imperative in the concrete business. Given its location in the heart of the city, it's no wonder why Boston Sand and Gravel has been so long-lasting and successful. Our concrete mixer has now arrived at the job site, Draw 7 State Park. The Draw 7 State Park renovation is a project aiming to redesign the layout of the park. At this point, the former grassy field has been dug up. It appears that today Boston Sand and Gravel is providing concrete for the foundation of what will be the Overlook Plaza. Our concrete mixer is beginning to pour its concrete into this truck-mounted concrete pump. Trucks like these take in concrete from mixers and use a tube to pour the concrete precisely where it needs to go. Once all the concrete has been poured, the mixer leaves the site. The mixer returns to Boston Sand and Gravel via a different route that takes it behind Bunker Hill Community College. This road leads the trucks back into the industry to be washed out and cleaned with water. It is impossible to pour every inch of concrete out of a mixer, so the excess must be washed out of the truck before it hardens. After being cleaned, the concrete mixer follows dispatcher instructions and either ends its day or heads back in line to be refilled with fresh material.
How long before you clear of Wilmington? Let them know I got a switch failure at shop. I need to clear you guys up.
Work at the industry begins winding down in the afternoon, when most construction sites are closing. At this time, a special truck filled with water cleans the grounds of the industry. Some cement mixers are still being sent out to construction sites, while some are returning back to the industry to get washed and put away at the yard just up the road. This is how it appears to go most weekdays here at Boston Sand and Gravel. This cycle repeats itself for days upon days, building the city you know and love, hiding in plain sight. I hope you enjoyed the final episode of the Boston Sand and Gravel series. Next week, a full-length documentary will be released. This video will be a compilation of all 3 episodes, answering the full question, how does Boston Sand and Gravel work, and why should you care about it? If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment down below. Also, in other news, I've just released merch for this channel. Check that out in my description or on the channel's homepage. So until next time, I will see you all again soon, out there on the rails.